Hello everybody, happy Sunday. Thank you for being here. Here we go, moving through the middle of October? It's flying. I looked outside tonight about an hour and a half ago, and for the first time really noticed like how much darker it is. So yeah, hope everybody's had a good weekend, good days, good week. I'm gonna go ahead and put the intention up, but before I do so, I'm gonna go ahead and make the quick announcement that we are not gonna have a live meditation for the next 2 weeks. I'm not sure if I've done that before. I'm not sure if we went 2 whole weeks. Probably have at some point, but I don't know if it's been like 3 weeks before we've come back to meditation space. But the next couple weekends, next weekend I have a training course that is going on all weekend, and I'm just not quite sure exactly what space I'll be in at the end of that. And then the following week I'm going to be out of town, heading back into town Sunday night, and just not exactly sure what time I will be back. And I've said before that, you know, I want to make sure I am fully within this space, like 100, 200%, to come here. So, you know, there's been a couple times in the past, we've been doing this for 3 years now. There's been a couple times that we haven't had a meditation because either like the intention did not come through clearly, or I just didn't feel like I was in the headspace, or whatever the thing may be. That's happened just a few times. And that's all just because I want to make sure I am here fully present, completely. And this is live, so you know, life happens, things happen, events happen, and things like that. And I'm really looking forward to the next couple weeks. So our next meditation after today is October 12th. We're going to be looking at November 2nd. And just before that, November 1st is going to be the next live event here in town, Holland, Michigan. Twice a year I do readings at a holistic health fair that we have right here in town. So if you are local, come say hi. Check out all of the wonderful vendors. That's November 1st. I have posted about that on social media, and we'll be sharing more about that as we get closer to, as well as some other things that are kind of brewing here. So there's really exciting things that are coming up here, but it's going to be a little while before we come back here to this space. So if you're new around here and you have not follow it on social media like Facebook and Instagram, go ahead, pop over to that if you're on those platforms, and do so, because all of those type of announcements, that's where those go, is to the social media pages. And then subscribing here to YouTube, so that way you see the weekly videos that come out. One came out yesterday. Those will still come out whether or not there's a live meditation, and then of course these Sunday night meditations. So yeah, thank you for giving me the space and grace for that. I think just having a little break here too is going to be a nice little reset. We have some things that are coming up that I don't really want to miss, but we're not going to miss them, right? The energies they're still around, they're still there for us to contemplate on. And I totally encourage you to come into your own meditative space after watching the weekly video, and considering the things that are coming up, and just see what comes up for you, especially if you've been within this space with us for a while now. You know, whether or not you have, honestly, but if you've been in this space with us for a little while, I have full confidence that you can come up with some good things that come out of your own meditation, your own intention, things like that. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get into this week. I'm gonna put up the intention. The intention comes out on Friday, so whether or not this is the first time you've seen it, intentions are released to Facebook, Instagram later in the evening, Friday nights. You'll definitely have it ahead of the weekly video that comes out Saturday, and then certainly ahead of the meditations once we come back to this space here in a couple weeks. You know, I've thought a lot about the timing of releasing the intentions, and I don't know how much I've really shared about that. It may feel like the intentions are released, like, I don't know, awfully late Friday sometimes, but I have not been able to formulate the intention, like, you know, the phrase that, like, I know this is the phrase, much earlier than like Thursday, Friday, maybe Wednesday it starts to kind of formulate. But if I try to come up with the intention too early, it just feels like it doesn't it just feels like it doesn't come through until a certain time period. I don't know if it's just getting closer to the energies, or if it's, you know, me working really just plugging in and focusing into the next week a little bit, you know, further into the week. I don't know exactly what it is, but it takes time for that to come through and for that to cultivate into its full expression or its final form, you may say. So that is why. So you know, and then once the intention comes through clearly, then I need the time and the space to make the little picture, the little graphic, put it up there, and all of that type of stuff. So if it seems like there's a little bit of a fluctuation of when it comes out, that is why, and that's why sometimes it might be quite late Friday, because you know, it's like after I get out of work or something that I make the picture and, you know, do all of the little things there. So just a little backstory that I feel like I had to say. So our intention is simple and clear, direct, but very important this week. I connect with the mind. I connect with the mind. So let's go ahead and take just a moment to sit with those words and just see what comes up, if anything at all. Any thoughts, feelings, emotions, any reactions, anything that it makes you want to move towards, makes you want to move away from, anything at all. I connect with the mind. Notice what you notice. Hi, Melissa. See you in the comments. All right. Simple, straightforward, very, very important. And really, this could be an intention for all of our meditations, right? I feel like I've said that a couple times recently, but really we could use this every single week. But astrologically, it's indicated this week. So let's go ahead and put the chart up so we can take a look at that. If at any time looking at this chart is overwhelming, look away. Just listen, take it in the bite-sized pieces that works for you. The nice thing about this meditation and it being virtual is that you can take what resonates with you and you can leave the rest. So that is an open invitation across this meditation completely. So what I'm going to go ahead and first start to point out is that right now at the start of this meditation, this chart right here is set to my location and the current time. So right now it is just about 8:40 p.m. Eastern time, and for just a short little while here, we have Taurus is rising in this chart here. It's just for a short little while. It's going to switch to Gemini here in just a little bit before we get too far into our meditation. But when we started, the ascendant or the sign on the rising in the rising position here is Taurus. That's significant to me because we are going to talk a lot about Venus this week. This is a big week for Venus as she moves into her other sign of Libra, and she's the ruler of Taurus. So I think that this chart is just giving us a little bit of a nod to Venus at the start here. Also, I'm a Taurus sun, so I just kind of like have an affinity to Taurus and to the earth signs to begin with. The moon is in the sign of Cancer, and it's actually going to conjoin Jupiter tomorrow. So yeah, just starting out by pointing out that, and we're actually going to bring the chart forward a day here to where our action really starts to kick in. So tomorrow evening, Venus is going to move from the sign of Virgo, where she's in her fall, to the sign of Libra, which is her domicile, her home sign. So we could simply say that Venus is moving from a place that is somewhat difficult to a place that is much more easy for her to express herself, right? It's kind of like going from staying at a stranger's home to staying at your own home. You're much more comfortable once you get home, right? Kind of like that. Soon as Venus enters the sign of Libra, she is going to make a trine to both of the air signs. She's going to make a trine to Uranus in the sign of Gemini. You can see that in this chart in the second house. And she's going to make a trine to Pluto, which is stationing from retrograde to direct this week, in the sign of Aquarius. So when you have these three planets connecting at these very early degrees, and they are all trining each other, that is what is called a grand air trine. So we have a trine from Venus in the sign of Libra to Pluto in the sign of Aquarius, to Uranus in the sign of Gemini. And then if you draw a line back from Uranus to Venus, you can see the triangle shape form here, right? So that's what we're going to focus on here for the meditation portion today, is the grand air trine as a whole. In the weekly video, I break down the aspects individually, so Venus and Pluto, Venus and Uranus. The one that we will maybe break down a little bit is the opposition that Venus also comes into as soon as she switches over into the sign of Libra. She's going to make an opposition with Neptune in the sign of Aries. You can see that in the 12th house in this chart. We've had this configuration come through as the Sun moved into the sign of Libra a little while back before that, as Mercury moved into Libra, and as Mars moved into the sign of Libra. Now, I did talk about in the weekly video how Venus, being the last of the personal planets to come through here, feels much more connective, much more able to work together, because Mars moved into Libra, and it was a difficult place for Mars to be, right? It's a place where it's in exile, so it's like when Venus was in the sign of Virgo. So Mars could have been a little brash and a little bit aggressive and a little bit, maybe a little angry, a little angsty there, right? Mercury likes to ask questions. It likes to consider different things. It likes to be like, yeah, but why? Why, right? Explain why to me. I'm curious. I want to know the reasoning. The sun is very strong. The strong has a lot of strength. It's about our soul. It's about our purpose, about our power. So Venus coming through here, where she comes into her own sign, maybe feels a little bit more unifying and a little bit more working together. It's not that it was bad for the other planets. There were still trines coming through. It's still beneficial aspects coming through. But Venus just feels, especially being in her own sign, just a little bit more helpful in that regard there. So these are the aspects that we are going to talk about this week. Oh, and then as we get a little further into the week, if I roll this forward a couple days, we'll see that the Sun comes through to a square to Jupiter. So this is coming through Friday. The Sun is at 24 degrees of Libra in the 5th house in this chart, and Jupiter is at 24 degrees of Cancer in the 2nd house in this chart. Really focusing on the grand air trine, the opposition to Neptune, and that sign ingress for Venus this week. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and take the chart down, and we're going to go ahead and talk about those. So, the grand air trine, right? So let's talk about the air element, first of all. You can see where we're going with the intention here, right? So there's a lot of air that's going on. The air element represents or correlates to our mind, okay? Thoughts, the way we communicate with others, the way others communicate with us. So conversations that we have, words that are exchanged. It has to do with our thoughts and our perceptions. So the way we perceive information that comes in, the way that others perceive information that we put out. Different environmental stimuli, the perception and the analyzing of what comes in through the 5 senses. These are all air things, right? The mental realm seeks for logical, rational explanations. It looks to bring in more ideas. It looks to understand or not. And it looks to broaden its horizons, right? The air signs have a way of being curious about what else could be out there. What other ideas, what other insights, what other informations, what other perspectives are out there? What else can we bring in, right? So think about Gemini. Think about Gemini and how curious it can be, right? It's the air sign of Mercury, so it brings in all kinds of ideas. Maybe it doesn't stick with one for very long before it moves on to the next one, but it's generally interested and curious in each thing that it's looking at the time, right? And it's giving its attention to that thing, even if it's for a short period of time and feels like it's bouncing around. The sign of Libra is the air sign of Venus. So we look at relating to others. We look at communicating with others. We look at making sure that things are, resources are balanced and fair. We look to make sure that the scales of justice are balanced and things are just and fair and everybody has their share. We look at the way we communicate with people on a one-on-one basis. If we look at the sign of Aquarius, where Pluto is, and Pluto's stationing here. So Pluto is getting ready to go direct from its retrograde period here. We look at Aquarius, and we have a little bit of a zoomed out 1,000-foot view, right? I feel like all of the air signs are able to detach, maybe emotionally, right? Because it's opposite of the air sign or the water signs, but Aquarius has this way of zooming out and looking at the whole picture and looking at the whole. When I think of Gemini, I think of looking at one little piece, right? I think about dissecting and pulling things apart and looking at one little teeny piece. When I think about Libra, I think about looking at two pieces and the way that they work together or don't work together, right? Like two puzzle pieces. Do they fit together or do they not fit together? If we look at Aquarius, we might be looking back at the entire puzzle and how many pieces are still missing and which areas look like they've been full and which areas we need to work on and which areas look like they're going to be a little bit difficult, but like looking at the whole picture a little bit more zoomed out. So this is the realm that we are starting to work our way into with this grand air trine. And without breaking down the individual aspects, Venus is looking for balance. She's looking for harmony, right? She's looking to be fulfilled. She's looking to be able to fill her desires. That is what she's doing anywhere she is. In the sign of Libra, she's looking to do that on a mental level. She's looking to do that on a relational level, and she's looking to do that on a communicative level, right? She's coming into contact with Uranus and with Pluto. Things can shift suddenly. There can be depth, there can be intensity, there can be radical and unique changes related to the mental sphere, right? So there's connections that are being made. There are connections being made that might not be the standard ones for us. We might be, as these three air signs connect together and the three houses where you can find the air signs in your birth chart come together, there can be mental activations where you get insights, you can get downloads, you can get new information, new input coming in, right? It can be the same thing as going out, because if we can receive information in, then so can others, and that information has to come from somewhere, right? So we could be giving ideas, we could be sharing our perception and our thoughts and our opinions with other people here, and this can bring us to different, unique, difficult, but having the courage and the bravery to get through the conversations, to weed through the different ideas and the different thoughts and the different perspectives that are going on around us, different understanding and processing coming in through here, and really ideas and insights and new ways of thinking coming in here. At the same time, that can be a lot, right? If there's a lot of different opinions coming in or a lot of input from different ways, it can be hard to reconcile all those different words or to put them together in a cohesive type manner, right? We also have Venus and Neptune coming into the opposition. Remember the push and pull of oppositions. Either they can come together, like a secret conjunction, or they can repel and push each other away, right? So Venus, looking for that balance and harmony, when she can connect with Neptune in the highest level, the highest expression, she can connect to something that she feels so deeply within her soul that she just knows, male or female, Venus is a feminine, is a feminine planet, feminine energy. She can connect with something so deeply felt within her soul that she knows without a doubt that this thing is true, or the way to go, or the way to understand, something like that, right? We can connect with our higher selves. We can connect with a higher, more divine energy. We can connect with our own creative inspiration, but we can also feel disconnected with that too. We can feel some disconnection. There can be some fogginess or some, unclear moments coming through here in a less positive expression. So when I say I connect with the mind, what mind? What mind are we connecting with? Are we connecting with our own mind? Are we connecting with our own rational mind here, right? Air signs. Are we connecting with the minds of others? Are we having conversations? Are we working on a relational level? Are we working on a more communal, global, collective level? Because the air signs definitely have this way, especially when we're looking at Pluto stationing in the sign of Aquarius, can look at the collective ideas, right? And the collective ideals that are going on here. So what mind exactly are we coming into? Is it our own? Is it ours and somebody else's? Is it a group of minds that are coming together? Are we brainstorming? Are we finding ways to overcome difficulties and overcome challenges on a personal level or a collective level? Because both can very much be true here this week. Are we connecting with our higher selves? Are we connecting with our own divine mind, right? Are we connecting with that eternal part of our soul, whatever that means for you? Are we connecting with our ancestors? Are we connecting with loved ones that have come before us? That could relate to the higher self mind. Or are we connecting to the divine mind that is out there, right? Are we connecting to the mind of God, where all things exist? You do not have to subscribe to any sort of belief system to participate in this meditation, and I do not mean to push mine upon anybody else, but I feel like if you're coming to this space, then there must at least be some sort of open-mindedness or curiousness. And there are a lot of schools of thought and a lot of different traditions and religions and wisdom traditions that speak of the mind of God, right? And everything within creation is within the mind of God. I think, widely speaking, at least for myself, when I think of God, universe, creator, whatever that divine energy is, whatever that creation energy is, I don't think of a specific physical form. I don't think of a specific physical person. We have lots of, or not, maybe not lots of, but we have messiahs that have come through different traditions that have come within physical incarnations to reach people. Like Jesus Christ, considered to be the Son of God, correct? But it's God sending his Son to earth, right? It's not God coming to earth. So I think of the mind of God, and I think of that universal energy, and I think of some sort of, I don't even know what exactly, but some sort of universal energy that is surrounding absolutely everything, and that must be the mind of God, or the mind of the creator, or simply can just be called the universe, because everything is within the universe, right? So what mind are you connecting to this week? I think with the opposition to Neptune, we are able to expand our horizons a little bit and, maybe dissolve away some boundaries to be able to reach into maybe some communicative spaces that maybe feel like they're a little closed off to some of us, right? So, maybe we want to speak with our grandmother who came before us and has now left her physical body. But that has felt difficult to do. Maybe this week you can find that space to be able to do that, right? But also still having the mental ability and the mental capacity to make something of that, and to be aware of that too. I think it's interesting things that we have possibilities for this week. I think the possibility of overwhelm is definitely still there. When you have, so trines are of the nature of Jupiter, right? So they typically are considered to be expansive. They're the two planets coming together, bringing what they have to offer and expanding that, right? It's like the two going down. Oh gosh, I have like the image of like a funnel coming in together, right? Like if you think of like a funnel, I don't know, we were on a water slide this summer at the local water park that has like, you go down the water slide and then you basically come through the center of a funnel where you're in like the smallest part, and then you kind of like funnel out, and as you move further out the funnel, you get into like a larger circle that you're coming around the funnel. I'm thinking of that with the planets as they are coming through a trine where like their expression is slowly spiraling, maybe spiraling out together into a larger expression is a good way to explain it. But when you have that happening in several different directions, and when you have Venus interacting with outer planets through this way, really interacting with all the outer planets between the opposition and between the trine, it can feel like a lot at one time, and it can feel like there's a lot going on, and it can feel a little bit overwhelming. And I feel like some of the cards, the cards that popped up here today, kind of speak to that a little bit here. So, yeah, I had two cards that popped out pretty quickly together. I had the Three of Wands that came in the reverse position. Interesting to note that the Four of Wands popped out before I really even asked for something for the meditation, and I feel like that one was, I felt like that card was for me, but then the three popped out, and I was like, well, that's really interesting. We had the Four of Wands, and then the Three of Wands comes right after it. And the Seven of Swords. Okay, so the Three of Wands reversed and the Seven of Swords. The Three of Wands is, the threes look at a celebration. It looks at a coming together. It looks at a form coming to, right? So we have an initiation within the one. We have a unity of two different things coming together, or a relating in the two. And then in the three, we can celebrate the path that we are going on, right? We can come together and have community. We can have friendship, and we can have partnership coming together, and we can see the path forward, right? Doesn't mean that we're there. There's a long ways to go. But the three represents a path of positive movements, right? Or being able to see forward into something. Within the wands, we're looking at the fire element. So we're looking at our creations, we're looking at our passions, we're looking at the things that ignite us from within here. It's in the reverse position. So our creative expressions and the things to celebrate are there. But I'm thinking about Venus and Neptune being in opposition to each other, and that fogginess or that lack of clarity that could be there, right? You don't have to necessarily see the path that's in front of you or know exactly what the next step is when Venus and Neptune are coming together in a positive way. Sometimes that fogginess or that that unclearness can lead us to a little bit of delusional activity, but it can also lead us to a place where we are just trusting within the process, and we are trusting with what is coming our way. So when the Three of Wands is in reverse, and I'm thinking about Venus and Neptune being in the opposition, I'm thinking about like seeing isn't believing. But if you believe, you're going to see it, right? You're going to manifest it. You're going to make it happen within the realm of possibility, of course. So when the Three of Wands comes up here in this reverse position, don't forget what there is to celebrate. Don't forget what has been budding and what has been blooming here, right? Trust the process that you're on, and know that you are going down the right path. The Seven of Swords makes me think of mental overwhelm. It makes me think of a lot going on, but it also makes me think of the ability to strategize, the ability to move swiftly, like the air element does. Swords represents the air element, right? This Seven of Swords also makes me think about how in the next, like, we're not going to be here next week, and we're not going to be here the following week, right? The Seven of Swords is really making me think about Mars and Mercury coming together in Scorpio. We've touched on that just very slightly, but through this week, they're going to be getting closer together, and there is a lot of precision, there is a lot of swiftness, and a lot of quick moving energy. We'll talk more about it on the weekly video, so check that next Saturday. But the Seven of Swords makes me feel like I need to mention the big aspect that we have coming through next Sunday. Really excited about my course coming through during that energy, by the way. So the Seven of Swords requires an ability to strategize, an ability to not get too swept up about things, to be able to keep our feet on the ground and to be able to be agile and to move swiftly, but also keeping some clarity at the same time here, right? So even with the grand air trine that we have this week, there can be a whole lot coming through that just feels a little mentally overwhelming. And you know, when we connect with the mind, if we're connecting with multiple different minds, right, or whatever, then it can just feel like there's a lot of input, right? Like information overload. Like think about the computer or the cell phone when you just keep pressing buttons because it's not responding and you just keep tapping the button. Like you're really just bogging it down even more, right? Kind of like that. So these are the things that I'm thinking about coming into this week. And like I said, really, it's something that we can lean into every week. But the ability to problem solve, the ability to find mental balance, the ability to dig deep within the mental realms of all shapes and kinds while still being able to release and liberate ourselves from whatever the mental constraints have been are totally there this week. Right? And then the ability to trust the process, the ability to lean into your gut instinct or to that divine energy, that mind of God around you, your beliefs, moving into your beliefs with conviction and just fully trusting without having to see the results first. Cool energy that we have coming through here. And we haven't even talked about the square between Sun and Jupiter, right? Because with these innovations and these ideas coming through and then the square to Jupiter coming in just after that, feels like if there are questions of power, purpose, path, you know, Jupiter's in the superior position for that aspect. So Jupiter in Cancer has great wisdom that comes from a lineage, comes from a path, comes from experience, comes from that grandmotherly energy, right? I have the image of the grandmother willow tree from the Pocahontas movie coming into my head. So that was really big, and I loved that when I was a kid. So that's the image that I have coming in. If that movie is offensive to anybody, my apologies. So yeah, what are you connecting with this week, right? Are you connecting with your own mind? Are you connecting with others, and are you talking through things? Are you relating? Are you reaching into a deeper energy this week? Or are you doing all? All right, we're going to get ready to move into our meditation portion. I'm just going to go ahead and say that there's going to be a lot of silence this week. I've been thinking a lot about just sometimes I talk too much. I think sometimes I get wrapped into the loop for the first half, and then it's a little hard to switch gears sometimes. But even though we're talking about the air and we're talking about communications, I feel like this is a week where less words for me is probably beneficial. So just throwing that out there. The music will be going, so if it's uncomfortable, you do what you need to do within these spaces, right? All right, I'm going to leave the intention up for just another minute or two. I connect with the mind. I connect with the mind. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move the intention, and then you'll be able to see my whole table here with my little trinkets on it. So I pulled out my meditative cat. Isn't he beautiful? He's normally sitting back over here behind me with the meditating skeletons, but I pulled him forward this week because, with the trine to Uranus specifically, we're looking to reach into a different meditative energy, right? So not that we're like, maybe some of us are trying to channel our inner cat. I definitely probably try to do that sometimes. But I just thought that the meditative kitty cat here just was a good representative of stepping into a different communicative or meditative space, right? Maybe there's something about instincts within the cat. Maybe there's something about, you know, a true form or something like that, or anything else that it might mean to you. But just looking to move into something a little bit different, right? That was my goal here with the kitty cat, and then some other things as well that just kind of spoke to me. So, and we have our intentional candle as always. The white sage candles are getting to be a little harder to come across, so I am reusing the candles for a couple weeks. So if it looks like it's a little bit smaller and it's already been lit, that's because it has. What I used to do was I would light it, we would meditate with it, and then I would either let it burn out completely or as much as I was able to that night, and then I would use it throughout the week. But we'll see, yeah, we'll see how far we can get with those. Oh, I got a little spider here crawling up my finger. I've been having a lot of spiders lately, so I'm just gonna take a moment to just take this little guy and sit him over here. I am in a basement, but yeah, spiders have been a thing lately. So, all right, we're gonna move back to our candle here. I'm gonna light the intentional candle, and as I do so, I'm gonna recite the intentional phrase. As I recite the phrase, I encourage you to say it with me, however you are able to, out loud, write it down, say it in your head, whatever works for you. So, all right, I'm gonna light the candle. As I light the intentional candle, flame ignites. As the flame ignites, it begins to grow. As the flame grows, so does our intention. I connect with the mind. I connect with the mind. If you haven't already, I invite you to come to a comfortable position, seated if that works for you, but really whatever works for you within the space that you are in. If you're ready to do so, go ahead and close your eyes. Let your eyes become heavy and your eyelids slowly close. If you're not quite ready to close your eyes, that's okay. If you don't ever get to be at a spot that you feel comfortable closing your eyes in this session, that's okay too. Maybe attempt to soften your gaze. Maybe allow your eyes to just kind of fall wherever they naturally fall, perhaps kind of just past the bridge of your nose, and find an area to look towards, but not staring so intently at where you start to focus on the details. Maybe find an area to kind of look beyond in a way. And as we begin to settle in, we turn our attention inward. As we turn our attention inward, our focus naturally moves towards our breath. As our attention turns towards the breath, we may feel naturally inclined to begin to alter the breath. Perhaps we start to deepen or lengthen the breath. I'm going to encourage you to hold off on that for now. Do your best to simply sit with and acknowledge the breath in the form that it is in at this very moment. I realize when I say simply, it's not that easy all the time. But do your best. Take just a moment to sit with the breath as it moves in and out of your body as it naturally does. Perhaps you start to make some assessments and notice some things about the breath. Notice what you notice, but do your best to refrain from really making any judgments or adjustments, just for a moment. breath is a culmination of everything that has led you up to this moment. So when you take time to sit with the breath, when you take a moment to honor the breath, really what you are doing is honoring the path that has brought you to this moment. Your breath is your connection to your own being, as well as that universal energy that surrounds all of us. Your breath is one of those autonomic functions that your body moves through without us having to focus on it. That is symbolic of the connections that are always there, whether or not we are consciously thinking about them. It's like the ability to connect to the mind. After you've taken a moment to sit with the breath, I now invite you to start to deepen the inhales and the exhales. Allow yourself to set a simple goal of each inhale bringing in slightly more air, slightly more energy than the inhale that came before it. Similarly, on the exhale, allow your focus to be that each exhale releases slightly more air and slightly more energy than the exhale that came before it. Gently and tenderly, you begin to move through the respiratory process, expanding the breath through both the inhale and the exhale. As you expand that breath, you expand your connection to your own being, to your own energy, and to the energy that surrounds each and every one of us. Moving through that respiratory process in your own time. If your attention wanders, gently bring it back to center. Continuing to deepen the inhale and the exhale, deepening your connection to the mental realm. Notice what you notice. If your mind wanders, gently remind yourself of the focus and come back to center. Invitation here to check in with your shoulders. Make sure they're nice and relaxed. Invitation to check in with your own individual posture within the position that you are in as you continue to move through the breath. Connecting deeper with each inhale, releasing restrictions with each exhale. This week, Venus moves from a place of restriction, a place of evaluation and comparison, to a place of opening, a place of balancing and leveling, from a place of separation and compartmentalism to a place of unity, empathy, and understanding. As she does so, she is met at the gates by the slow-moving outer planets. Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, the statement makers, the deep felt change makers, the liberators and the inventors, the thematic tones that they bring comes along with shifts. This week, as all of the air signs are activated, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, the rational and intellectual mind is stimulated. There may be information coming in. There may be information going out. But within all of that, Venus connects with Neptune. Bringing in a place where we can believe, a place where we can trust, a place where we can dream, a place where we can create and create passionately. I connect with the mind. Say it with me in whatever capacity you can. I connect with the mind. I connect with my mind. I connect with my higher self. I connect with others. And I connect with the divine mind of God, which everything is created within. Thank you, thank you, thank you for this space, and thank you for joining me. There's lots of ability to innovate, to problem solve, to come up with new ideas, come up with new pathways. And that continues from this week into next week. Like I said, the Mars-Mercury conjunction is going to be building, and it's going to come into exactness next Sunday. We will have a new moon in the sign of Libra before we come back to this space. Yeah, there's cool things, there's openings coming up here. I think this week, wherever you feel the need to innovate, wherever you feel the need to problem solve, communicate, share, express, not necessarily in that emotional way, not necessarily in the watery expression, right? It's not to say that we won't be sharing emotions and feelings and things like that, but sharing them in a way that is rational, logical, a way that is insightful and brings forth, I don't know, brings forth something good, something desirable. While we were in the meditation, I felt a call to pull an oracle card. It's been a little while since I've used this deck here, and the Medicine Mother card came through. Look at this card. Isn't this beautiful? I don't think you can see the color. The coloring here on the camera does not do it justice, but it's the Medicine Mother. Honor your inner knowing. Honor your inner knowing. That higher self, that divine mind that we are connecting to. If everything in creation is a part of that, then that means that we are also a part of that, right? So that means that a part of that is within each and every one of us, right? All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I won't be here for the next couple weeks. There will be reminders of that on social media. So if you haven't already, subscribe here on YouTube, follow Facebook, Instagram. Yeah, and those are the places that will connect, and there will be some other announcements that will be coming out here in the next little while there too. So yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. I will see you all back here November 2nd, right? Yeah. We're going to be off the 19th of October. We're going to be off the 26th of October. We'll be back here on the 2nd of November. So take this space to utilize it however best for you, right? Intentions will not come out. Weekly videos will still come out. Come up with your own intention. Let me know what your intentions are. Let me know what phrases you come up with. You know, let me know what kind of meditations you come up with, right? You can comment on the videos on YouTube, or you can, you know, find the posts on Facebook or message me or whatever. And yeah, just curious of what you guys can come up with over the next couple weeks here. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. As always, I appreciate all of you in any capacity. And yeah, find space to connect to the mind. Connect the breath to the mind, the movements, the body to the mind. Meditative spaces where you can have good, productive conversations. Yoga, I think this is a great time for yoga practices, whether it's asana or otherwise. Just connecting the mind and utilizing the mind, working the mind, right? Like Sudoku puzzles type energy here. Yeah, so thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and take care. Bye, everybody.